In this video, I'm going to rebuild both of my pedal boards. I have two big pedal boards. One is for guitar synthesizer and the other one is just for normal guitar. Now these pedal boards, they don't ever leave the studio. They're always here. And if you've seen previous videos, then you know I like to plug into everything at once and control everything with one guitar. I have 4 guitar synths, I have a GT1000, I have other effects, and I like to plug into all of that all at once with one guitar. And I've done videos showing people how to do that. But what I'm going to do in this video is reroute everything, do a different signal flow, a different signal path, and I'm going to integrate these boards more closely so that it's one giant pedal board. Now, in addition to this, I'm probably going to reset the studio too. I'm going to rewire and rework the way the studio operates. So let's dive in and get started. So in this pedal, I have the BOSS GT-1000, and I have 2 FS7 foot switches hooked up to this pedal, which is right here actually. And then in the effects loop, which is over here, I have the Mobius pedal, which is a modulation pedal by Strymon, Big Sky Reverb, also by Strymon, and the SDE3000 pedal, which is a tribute to Eddie Van Halen. And this pedal right here actually plugs in to the SDE3000 and it controls the SDE3000. So the plan is fairly simple with this. I'm going to lose the SDE3000 delay, this thing right here, primarily because if you have the latest firmware update for the GT1000, then the SDE3000 is already built into that. So this is built into that through the new firmware. I don't need it. So I'm going to get rid of this, move these 2 pedals over, take this pedal and move it over, maybe move it up a little bit. And then over there, I'm going to put the VG800. And the output for that is going to go into the input to this. And I'm going to use the guitar models on the VG800 to plug into here. Now I'm also going to put over here all the access points to all the guitars I have. So I'll be able to plug in to any guitar from this area over here. On this pedal board, I'm going to take the GM800 and move it over here. The SY1000 is going to move down that way. All of this will be installed on the other pedal board, and we're going to lose some of the stuff we use to plug the guitar in. That's also going to be on the other pedal board, and we're also going to lose the Big Sky. And the GR-55 is going to be installed down here somewhere. So the next step is to turn off the power supply for all of these pedals and to take everything apart and take all the pedals off the pedal boards. Okay, one pedal board is done. On to the next. Okay, so that board is now cleared. Okay, so now I'm going to pick up this mess. I got all my pedals off the boards, and you can see they're all right in the middle of the room here. And we're going to clean up this area. Instead of going into the corner here, it's just going to go along this entire wall. I'm going to pick up these cables and reposition these boards. Okay, so this is my guitar wall, and underneath my guitar wall is going to be where the pedal board is going to be located, and I'm combining both pedal boards together. As you can see here, it's going to be one huge long system. Instead of just taking up the corner, it's just going to go along the length of this entire wall. So now it's time to start putting pedals on the pedal board. So these pedal boards have removable plates, and this allows me to run cables underneath the pedal board, going from one board actually to the other board, which is how I'm able to make one long huge pedal board. Okay, so the first half of the pedal board is complete, and as you can see, it's packed full of all kinds of things. So we're going to go back over here and break this down. The first thing to note is the Cool Switch Pro. I'll zoom in on it here. The Cool Switch Pro was used on the other board, and it dealt with the guitar input. And the guitar went into the input, and I had 3 outputs that would take the signal into other locations. I could switch between the A and B, and I had a through input. What I've done is I reversed the flow here. So the outputs are now the input, and the input is the output. So if you look at the input here, that's running over to the GT1000 right here. And over here on the VG800, which you see right there, the mono output of that is going into the output A of the Cool Switch Pro. So basically what I'm doing is I'm feeding all of the guitar models into the GT1000. In addition to that, because I have these other outputs that I'm using as inputs, it's going to allow me to plug in all of my other guitars that don't have a GK pickup system in it. So all of my guitars are going to plug in from this point right here. And then over here, where the GT1000 is, in the effects loop, I have hooked up the Mobius and the Big Sky. And I can combine in a patch both those units with the BOSS GT1000, which has more effects, and all the models for the VG800, all combined into one big system here. And then down here I have the GKC AD adapter if I'm using GK3 pickup. And of course I have all the FS switches and the expression pedal, and they're all routed to where they need to go. So this is the first half of the pedal board, and I'm going to put together the second half and hook them together, and then I'll show you that. Okay, so this pedal board is finally done, and let me give you an example of how the signal flow works. First of all, I got the GK3 pickup here on the Fender Strat, which goes down into the GKC 80 adapter, which you could see, which is right here. Signal leaves out of the GKC adapter up to the VG800, and then from the mono output of the VG800 it goes over to this Cool Swift Pro box. So what I have done is I reversed the signal flow, so I can plug 3 guitars into the output section, and that way the input will go right into this whole setup that's over here. And this allows me to use the guitar synth guitars and the regular guitars on the same system, basically. So over here with the GT1000, through the effects loop, I have the Big Sky Reverb unit and the Mobius modulation pedal, both by Strymon, of course. Then down here I have 2 FS7 foot switches that go into the GT1000. And then I have an FS foot switch and an expression pedal that goes into the VG800. So what I'm going to do here is just use the VG800's guitar models. And then out of the VG800 we go into the GM800. And down here you'll see the expression pedal and the FS7 foot switch for the BOSS GM800. Then out of the GM800 down into the GKC DA adapter, and then out of that into the Roland US20, and then out of the Roland US20 into the SY1000 and the GR-55. And over here is the expression pedal for the SY1000 and the control pedal for the SY1000 as well. This setup basically allows me to plug any GK pickup I have that's on a guitar into all of these devices and control all 5 of these devices with one guitar. So now the next thing I need to do is plug all of the outputs of these devices into a mixer. And we're going to use the X32, of course, for this. And we're going to do that right now. Okay, so now we're going to plug in all of our guitar synthesizers in the GT1000 into the Behringer X32 Producer. Now, if you know anything about the X32 Producer, you already know that they group things in blocks of 8. So these 8 strips are the inputs, and these 8 strips here are the outputs. So right now we have this green button lit, that's channels 1 through 8. So right now this is controlling inputs 1 through 8. Now it's controlling inputs 9 through 16. Now 17 through 24, and so on. Now, the X32 Producer doesn't have channels 17 through 24 or channels 32 through 25 through 32 hardwired on the back. So you can use these buttons for other things. So I'm not sure which group we're going to plug in all of this stuff. I'll choose one of these. And now on this side, where all the outputs are, this can be used as a DAW remote. And if I press the button, you see it doesn't come on right now. This has been set to factory reset. Okay, so just as you get it from the factory. And I'll show you how to engage the DAW remote. But what this is going to do is it's going to act as a remote control for any kind of recording software you're using, be it Ableton, Reaper, Studio One, Cubase. This will work as a remote control. To set this up, you're going to have to go over here to Setup right here. Click on that. Then you're going to have to scroll over until you get to Remote. When you're on the Remote tab, you just press this in, and now you've just enabled the DAW remote. Push it in, and all of this is now a DAW remote. You have to go in and set it up in your DAW application so that it sees it, but it's a DAW remote. Now, this is not being used for a live application. This is being used for studio application. And I'm using the audio interface that's built in the back of the X32, and it gives me 32 channels in and 32 channels out. Okay, so now it's time to hook up the hardware to the back of our X32. We're going to begin with the monitor outs. We're going to go into our studio monitors, our Atom Audio Studio monitors. Next up is our blue Ethernet connection, and that's going to go to the Ethernet connection on the back of the computer for our X32 app. The gray USB cable is going to connect to the back of the computer so we can record audio out of our audio interface. And then we're going to hook up the mains. They're going to run into a compressor. This is the Maxcom compressor, and from there, those signals are going to go into our main speakers, which are QSCs, K2s. And finally, we have an AES output that's going to connect to an SD16 rack mount. Okay, so now all of the guitar synthesizers are plugged in stereo to the X32 Producer, and we've taken at the bottom row, the bottom 8 channels. So channels 9 and 10 is the GR-55, channels 11 and 12 is the SY1000, channels 13 and 14 is the GM800, and channels 15 and 16 is the VG800. Okay, in channels 1 and 2 on the X32 Producer, I plugged in my old audio interface, my Tascam, and this is what I used before I bought the X32 Producer. I'm using it here as a sub-mixer and plugging keyboards and other things into it. And over here in channels 3 and 4, I'm plugging in the GT1000. So now we're going to quickly set up the mixer to work with the computer. We're going to set it up to work with the recording software. All of our BOSS hardware is plugged into the mixer. This will allow us to record music using all of our BOSS hardware. So to get started, we're going down here to the DAWs and video folder where I have all my recording software loaded. And I'm going to click on the Behringer X32 app. It's going to load, and we're going to connect right away. And this is mixer to PC or PC to mixer. Mixer to PC means it's taking the settings from the mixer and loading it into the app, then changing the computer to comply. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to go over here to the setup button, click that on. We see here's our IP address. Remember that you have to have the Ethernet output from the Behringer X32 plugged into your computer in order for this whole app to work. Now our next tab we need is the mixer, and on here we have our choice between 48K and 44.1 sample rate. Now I have a lot of songs that are recorded in 44.1 sample rate, and if it's not selected, they're not going to play. Okay, so now that that is done, we're going to go over here to this tab. We have GUI preferences. This basically controls things within the app itself. MIDI controller. This is the area we need to set up the Behringer X32 as a remote control device for the software. We are going to begin by selecting a MIDI input, and in this case we want to use the X Live MIDI in and the X Live MIDI out, and then we need to be able to transmit data. And the next thing we need to do is tell it that we're sending all of the information through the card MIDI. Okay, the Ethernet is handling the app, and the remote is going to be handled through the card MIDI. Now all we have to do is hit enable. Okay, so now that is working, we need to go over to the card. So this is our audio interface. That's in the back of the mixer. It's the X Live card. You can switch these cards out for anything really. You can put Dante back in there, or you can do like Firewire if you're into the old stuff. But we have our X Live card here, and we have 32 tracks in, 32 tracks out. Now that is the card itself. That's not talking about the mixer. These are an additional 32 tracks in and out specifically for recording. Now I don't need to mix 32 tracks on an output, okay? If I'm mixing a song I've recorded, I'm usually doing it in stereo. That's 2 tracks. If I'm doing surround sound, I'm doing 8 tracks maybe. So let's go ahead and change this to 32 in and 8 out just to make everything easy. Now that that is done, we're going to go over here and get out of that, and we're going to go into routing real quick. Now notice our routing, the way this is set up, it says AES50A. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to change this around. We're going to take the channels 17 through 24, and we're going to go over here to where it says card, and we're going to select that, and then we're going to go over to play. You can see it's already selected there, right? And we're going to take this back just like this on the play section. And we're good there. We're here to routing and turn that off, and we're going to start labeling right here. We're on channels 1 through 32, and we don't have the channels 17 through 32 on the mixer. And remember I said that we could use this for other things. So we're going to go down to 1 through 16, and it's going to also display the DCA outputs here. So we're going to begin by labeling everything. We're going to start with channel 9, which is where our GR-55 is, and we're going to change this to the blue color by right-clicking. We can right-click and go blue here as well. And then we're going to make this stereo because this is GR-55 left and GR-55 right. So we're going to go over here to where it says channel, click on that, hit L, and now it's stereo. Right-click in here, and we're going to say Roland GR-55 left, and this is going to be Roland GR-55 right. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and label the rest of these. Okay, so now we have everything labeled, and we need to assign DCA channels to everything. So the Tascam is going to be DCA 1. The GT 1000 is going to be DCA 2. And the Fender is going to be 3. And the Helix Stadium is going to be 4. I ordered a Helix Stadium, should be here within the next month or two. And when that comes in, we'll start doing videos about that. All the guitar synths will be DCA 5. So basically, as we do this, okay, this DCA 5 is going to act as a master volume for all the guitar synths. Okay, we're going to go down here to 17, and here's our recording software. That's going to be 6. Open up our Cakewalk folder, and we'll talk about Cakewalk. Now, there is a new version of Sonar that you can get that is free,
And if you want to get this version of Sonar, go ahead. The best way to do this is to go ahead and download the Cakewalk Product Center. And once that installs on your computer, it's going to come up. You're going to have your BandLab account, obviously. So here's the 3 things you can download. So in Cakewalk BandLab, here's everything that's in Cakewalk BandLab that you can download. Okay, and make sure it's all up to date. Here's everything in Cakewalk next. Now, if there's a crown, that means it requires a subscription, so you're not going to be able to get the overloud unless you have the subscription. In the Cakewalk Sonar, this is where you're going to get the free version of the new Cakewalk Sonar. And of course, you can't get anything that has a crown unless you have a membership. Now, they'll give you a trial period if you want to take advantage of that. So you can go ahead and update and download what you want. So in the Cakewalk Sonar, we're going to click that open, and you're going to see a couple different things because of the limitation. First of all, you see continue evaluation is going to come up every time, and you're going to have to wait for 15 seconds for it to count down while it does this thing. Then once the countdown is done, then that's it, you're finished. You can go ahead and close this out. You have to do that every time, but also there's a free license banner here. It tells you that this is a free license and get membership. Now, once you get the membership, of course, it's probably going to get rid of this thing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set up the mixer for Sonar. Now, it works pretty well. The free version does. So we're going to go to Preferences, and we're going to set this up. So we're going to go to the Playback and Record, and we're going to switch this to ASIO. To ASIO, we're going to hit Apply. We're going to come over here and select our devices. So it has a GM800. You're going to uncheck all of this. Uncheck down here. Okay, so everything else is now come into view, and we're just going to check mark all of the X Live, because this is what we're using as our primary audio interface. I'm going to go ahead and hit Apply. Is back. We're going to go over here to MIDI devices, and we have a few different MIDI devices to choose from. We're going to select the GM800, and we're going to use our Roland GM800 as a MIDI controller, and then we're going to select the Yamaha here. Same thing down here. So here's the inputs and the outputs. Then we're going to select the let's go ahead and move selected devices to the top. Then we're going to select our X Live. Okay, there we go. So we come down here, we see that there is no instruments that are selected. We're going to hit Apply, and then they all appear. Here's our GM800 and our Yamaha and our X Live. So the next thing we need to do is create a control surface. Click on Control Surface, and we're going to go over here to this little yellow icon here to create our first one. It's going to be an active MIDI controller, and it's going to be the GM800. So now we can use the BOSS GM800 to record MIDI data. And let's create another one real quick. We're going to click on this, and we're going to go to Act MIDI controller again. But this time we're going to do the Yamaha. So if we want to use the keyboard, we can use the keyboard. Hit OK, and we have a different color down here so we can tell the difference. And we're going to create another control surface. And this time what we're going to do is select Mackie Control. Mackie Control is the thing that's going to allow us to control this software from the mixer, and we're going to choose the X Live card. Okay, so we have all of our control surfaces set up, so we're good to go, and everything is set up and working. So as you can probably tell, I probably contributed to the retirement of a lot of people who work for BOSS and who work for Roland. They did not send me this gear to test out and try out and put in a video. I am not employed by BOSS or Roland. I am merely a customer trying to figure out the best way to use this gear. And I am trying to pass that information on to other people who can use that information.
Now, in the next video, or videos coming after this, I'm going to work on a collection of memories for the VG800. We're going to do memories or preset packages. I got 4 I'm working on now, and I'm going to release them, and each preset package is going to be a video accompanying it. And you'll be able to download this stuff for free. I'll have it available on the Google Drive, and I'm going to upload them to Tone Exchange. And so these packages should be available soon. But that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. And I will see you in the next video.